I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. I'm on it.
Hey, Freak Show! You're going nowhere!
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
All right, welcome back, kids and coaches. I am Levi, and this is West of Nowhere. Welcome back. Audible silence, right? Is that the right term? I don't know. Shane's obviously not here, in case you couldn't tell. His work schedule got a little shifty on us. So you're stuck with me. You're stuck with Levi. So fucking deal with it. Before we get too far along, gotta thank the old Patreon supporters: Adam Pacino, Tony Burgess, Sam Norton, Natalie Tacarante, Mark Studler, Daddy Warbucks, and Master of Media, Kylie Gangwish, and Colton Zamersla. And of course, Jeremy Brassers. So thank you to those people who support us, let us do this thing. Also, we got some comments on last week's video, which I will read because I have plenty of time, because there's not somebody else holding me back. No. Some of these I don't I don't remember what Shane's story was last week, so Kylie made a comment about it. She said, "Holy shit, hold the phone, Shane has a story." And then she said, "Bro, never mind, Shane. Take your story back. Stop it." So I guess maybe that's gonna be his rationale for not having any more stories, because he can't even get away with doing it. So that's all right. Also, Kylie and other people have said that this last week's stories were a little depressing. I hear you, and I'm sorry the world we live in sucks. I don't know. I don't know what you want from me, dude. Just relaying information at this point. But yeah, so I got some different kinds of ones, a little more interesting, not as depressing. So there's that. Pantera Girl 101 also had some comments. She said, we had a man down here in Florida who for many years had a gigantic Confederate flag over I-75 and I-4. There's, of course, complaints and backlash on it, but they couldn't do anything about it because it was his private property. So I don't see why statues would be any different. Yeah, I'm assuming that's why they, that's from the story last week where the city deeded the land that a Confederate statue was on to a private organization or something like that. So people couldn't petition the city to have it pulled down. Yeah. And then she also had a comment about what we were talking about, Colorado City, Arizona, or whatever the fuck it was. And she said that other states that have other cities names, like Grand Rapids, Minnesota. Yeah, because it's Grand Rapids, Michigan, right? Minnesota just wants to be included. They have MI. Michigan starts with MI. You know, they just want to be loved, maybe. But yeah, so that's the YouTube comments. If you want to read, or if you want me to read your comments, go to the link tree and follow that to the YouTube, or you can just type us in West of Nowhere in the YouTube search. If you want to be a Patreon person, give us money for, stuff that we we do stuff with the money for sure. No, it goes towards our site hosting, so we don't have to pay out of pocket, which is, really convenient, so we can just continue to put out the podcast and we don't have to worry about it. That's also at the link tree, so I like the link tree, linktr.ee/WOKPOD. So there's that. Oh, we also got a new review on the Apple Podcast, so I gotta read that because Hasn't happened in a while. Got excited. So this one comes from Doc from Oregon. Says, honestly, it feels like sitting down with friends and shooting the breeze. Definitely would hang out and have a brew or soda, which I appreciate. You know, I don't know. That's one of the things that I thought about when we were like wanting to be a little more serious about the pod is what what do we want to like come forward as? Like, obviously I don't want to come out as straight up news because A, that's boring, and B, you're kind of like stuck in a box. But where it's more conversational and we, just kind of like explaining or talking through stories in a very like it reminds me of like talking to people at work, or like a friend about a news story, and you're like, hey, did you see this thing? And then like the one guy who actually pays attention and peeps in, he's like, oh yeah, I heard they did the blah blah. And that's kind of like the goal is to be a little more digestible at times. Obviously, we have some depressing stories sometimes, but on the whole, I think we do a pretty good job of being, normal and not like we're not trying to push any kind of agenda. Like, we both have individual thoughts, but like if I see a story that's aggressive, I'm going to read it without, I'm not going to try and spin it in any way, shape, or form. I'm just going to tell you what happened, what I think, and then you can make your own opinions from there, man. So, with that being said, we got some shit to get into. First and foremost, holy shit. Whoa, that is bright. So, Mike Leach, the head coach for Mississippi State, passed away today. He had a heart attack, but they think that he was also having that he had a seizure at first, and it took him like 15, 20 minutes to get to him. So then he got airlifted, I think, right? And then he was essentially brain dead because of the lack of blood flow. And they just decided to, what do you call it? What's the proper term? Pull the plug? I don't know. And so that's what they decided to do. He's 61. He's a pretty storied football coach, college football mainly. He's been coaching for Mississippi State for a little bit now, but he's the brainchild behind the air raid offense, which definitely shook things up. But he coached at Texas Tech from 2000 to 2009. Definitely gave Nebraska a couple ass whoopings in that time. He was at Washington State from 2012 to 2019. Coached Gardner Minshew, I'm pretty sure. Named Coach of the Year in 2018. And yeah, he in 2020, I believe, decided to take over at the Mississippi State. But yeah, pretty big hole in the college football world. Everybody kind of respects him as a coach, and he's definitely not like, like a Nick Saban level, but he's still pretty talented guy, and there's going to be a lot of players that he coached throughout his tenure to definitely going to miss him. So it's too bad. It's very unfortunate, but other football news, fucking Lions beat the Vikings. Let's go. Here's a little history on Levi. I used to like the Vikings back when they had Adrian Peterson. They had Brett Favre, and I was like, that's kind of cool. I was like high school. I liked the Vikings, blah, blah, blah. And then I just like, I think it was after Detroit drafted Ndamukong Suh. Yeah, I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna be a Lions fan. I kind of like the fact that they never win. Like I don't know. It seemed like everybody at the time was jumping ship to be a Patriots fan, or like I think the Saints were super big at that point, and I just wanted to like be contrarian and edgy as I am. And no, I did appreciate the Lions' scrappy nature. Like never, always the underdog, I guess. And just the city of Detroit as a whole, it's been through a lot, so I kind of the historical aspect, I guess. But anyway, so Lions beat the Vikings pretty bad this weekend, and that was pretty great for me personally. I don't know what's happening, but Dan Campbell, he's got his shit figured out. I'm a big fan of that guy. He's kind of a badass. If you have HBO, watch Hard Knocks for this season. The Lions preseason is all on there. And you get to hear Dan Campbell talking. He's dope. Or you get just YouTube video some of his little speeches that he gives. But yeah, I like him a lot. But yeah, so that's all I care about with the NFL. But nothing too crazy other than Tom Brady's looking rough. He got his ass kicked by a third string quarterback this weekend, so that was fun. But whatever. So in other sports related news, the Brittney Griner thing continues as she has been traded in a prisoner swap for this arms dealer Victor Bout. Now, there's definitely a lot of spin going on this, and it's like, I don't know, there's people who just want to go basketball player traded for arms dealer, and then that's it, right? And you're like, okay, so we fucked up. But that's not even, like, there's so much more going on to that. There's so much subtext in this story, because while he is an arms dealer, or he was arrested in 2011 and has been out of the game for a long time. And that didn't just stop when he got arrested. Like, those transactions, those businesses, those people who are in that life kept going. They don't care. They don't care that Victor's in fucking prison in the United States. They still making money. And that kind of like loop, that's close. Like, he's not going to be able to just jump back in there, especially now that everybody knows who he is. They probably know some of his contacts. Like, that's probably how they got him in the first place. And also, the reason that he was so big in the gun selling business is because when the Soviet Union fell, they split the just warehouses and massive armaments of weapons they had stockpiled between the countries of the Soviet Union. Ukraine got some, Russia got some, they split them up. That guy had an in, and he was able to get some of those, or a big chunk, and start selling them to different conflicts, different, things. So and also after that, like, he was continuously just selling Russian weaponry. Like, he greased the right palms in the Russian government and was able to sell things from the Russian government. He's not going to help Russia be a bigger power because he can't, because they already have those guns. Like, they don't need his help, right? He's kind of just a big old propaganda piece now at this point. And every single person that goes, oh, wow, we got fucked over. Like, we literally just got an arms dealer given away for a fucking basketball player who hates America, blah, blah, blah. That's not even what's happening. Like, he's not going to be an arms dealer. He's not going to they people were calling him the Merchant of Death, and that was true at a point in time, but that's a long time ago in that world. Like, the fucking crime doesn't sleep. And he's been gone for 11 years now, at least. So it's not as cut and dry as people are wanting to make it seem. And also, they're trying to slide in this other guy, this Paul Whelan, and they're trying to basically go, okay, well, this guy, former Marine, was in Russia. Why didn't we try and get him? Now, Russia was only willing to do a 1-for-1. They didn't give a fuck. We got a different former Marine back in April. And they tried to get Whalen back then. And then they tried to include him in this deal, and still Russia was like, no, you're getting one or you're not getting anybody. And people go, oh, well, what the fuck? This guy's he's a Marine. He's a former Marine. We don't care about him. We don't care about our troops. Like, we're just this basketball player that kneeled for the national anthem. We'll fucking pick her up, no problem. But this Marine guy, we're just going to leave him in there. Now, fair point. Also, he's been there since 2018, so why didn't Trump rescue him, right? So, but what about him? What about isms aside? Paul Whelan is in prison in Russia for espionage and some other things. He holds 3 different citizenships across the globe. He's a former security and he's like a contractor for like security companies, stuff like that. Now he obviously goes, listen, I didn't do anything wrong. And the U.S. government also believes that he didn't do anything wrong. But if you have a spy in a foreign country, chances are you're not going to go, yeah, he might have been spying on me. Now, do we know that he for sure did anything? I don't know. But if you're going to take, like, the people making this argument go, well, Griner flew to Russia, had illegal substances with her, a vape THC cartridge, that's hardcore drugs. She broke their rules, she broke their laws, let her sit in prison. But then when we get her out, well, this other guy, he is in there for no reason. Like, you're saying that she broke their laws and got arrested and she should do their time, but this other guy shouldn't have to. Why is that? Because he's a former Marine? Like, what's the rationale? But if you think about it, I mean, on the grand scheme, even if he's not guilty, look at 2 charges, not guilty on either one. Possession of a THC cartridge or espionage. Like, who do you think's going to be serving more time in general? Probably the espionage guy. But for some reason, these people want to go, well, she deserves to do her fucking sentence, but this guy doesn't because of X, Y, and Z. Whatever. I don't know. People's arguments don't make any sense, especially when you take them down to bare bones, but whatever. Anyway, so Paul Whelan, his family members were contacted by government officials letting them know, hey, we couldn't get him in this trade. We're bringing home Brittney Griner. Just letting you know, like, we did try, but, then they, like, traveled to visit, like, face-to-face with these people. And his brother was interviewed after and said that he and his family, Whalen's family, believes that the government made the right choice to get Griner. And that's this dude's own family. I mean, you could read into it what you want, but That's what they're saying. So just some things to think about when this conversation like progresses. People saying, "Oh, well, he they could have saved this guy. He's been sitting over there, but for some reason his crimes aren't important, but hers are, and she needs." And I think it does stem down to the fact that she did kneel for the national anthem. And for some reason, there's a lot of people that just see stuff like that and they go, "Oh, well, they hate America." Like, it's it's just all people making their own assumptions on different things. Like, she doesn't hate America. She wants America to be better. Like, there's no problem with you going, "Hey, I think we should fucking worry about this thing." Like, you know, if you want to call it virtue signaling or whatever, like there's no reason why somebody can't go, "Hey, I don't appreciate how that we do this. I think we should do different." And so they do something to raise attention or awareness to that. And I don't think that's a bad thing. And also, like, the typical rationale for kneeling for the national anthem was police violence. And then people automatically start making these assumptions about, well, they just fucking hate white people or whatever. Like, white people get killed by police. Like, yeah, bitch, that's what we're fucking talking about. We want that to stop too. Like, it's not one thing. Like, right, you're just trying to get everybody to pay attention to one thing, like one big issue. And yeah, there's some people that go, "Hey man, I think it's important because it's like minorities who are getting affected or whatever." But like, really, you could just step back and go, "I think police violence in general sucks. And that's why I'm kneeling." I don't know. That's just me though, man. It got a little preachy there, but it is what it is. So yeah, Brittney Griner, she's back. I'd be interested to see what kind of like interviews and things she has to say about her life in the Russian prison system. I can't imagine there's a lot of fun stuff involved, but I've seen World's Toughest Prisons a couple times. I've seen that show, and Russia's usually pretty up there. Um, but yeah, so it would be pretty interesting to see what she ends up speaking about if she chooses to. If not, I respect that. If you went through some shit like that and didn't want to talk about it, I don't fucking blame you either. I think there's a lot of people that, because I'm pretty sure she was sentenced to a work camp, which can't be fun either, but whatever. Anyway, so let's go back to the World Cup, right? We got a soccer journalist, Grant Wall, and he has died. And so I'll tell you what the conspiracy was at first, and then tell you what they actually, what actually happened. So Grant Wall, who has a brother who is one of the LGBTQ, I can't remember which one he identifies with, but he's a journalist, or just a sports journalist, but he was at the World Cup, and he had worn like a rainbow shirt and like, outspoken for LGBTQ rights, things like that. Suddenly died. And then people were like, "Hold on. Like, Qatar been super fucking mad about LGBTQ people in general. Like, they just fucking, like, did they kill this dude?" And his brother, Eric, had believed that he was killed. Now, his body got brought back to the United States, and the United States State Department says there's no evidence of a suspicious death, and the brother has come back on his claims of him being murdered and goes, "Yeah, no, that was a mistake." But yeah, so I just thought that was like a crazy storyline. I remember seeing the thing about Grant dying, and I was like, oh shit, did they fucking get him? And I'm glad I waited to talk about it because that would have been wild. But yeah, I think he was complaining about like a lot of like soreness, tightness in the chest for a day or two. I think people are, or I think the suspected thing was like a heart attack basically, and I mean I don't know how old he is. He's 40 something, maybe yeah, 48, and but you can have a heart attack at any time. Master of Media, she had a heart attack. Anyway, so I thought that was wild. Yeah. What else we got? Elon Musk got Elon Musk got brought out by a Dave Chappelle and then got booed, which was pretty funny. Dave Chappelle had a comedy show in San Francisco, and he brought Elon Musk out for whatever reason. And he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, let's make some noise for the richest man in the world." And there was a lot of, a lot of cheering, but there was also noticeably some booing. And, obviously booing is pretty, like, what that sounds like, like in contrast to just cheering. And he just stands there for like way too long, being awkward as shit. And yeah, it's pretty funny. Dave Chappelle, or Musk had turned to Dave Chappelle and says, "You weren't expecting this, were you?" And then Chappelle goes, "Sounds like some of the people you fired are in the audience," which pretty funny joke, especially since it is in San Francisco. Like, um, and then later, Chappelle says, "All the people that are booing, I'm just pointing out the obvious. They have terrible seats in the stadium," which, they're basically pointing out all the people that are booing are broke people, right? Poor bitches, fucking. Oh, they just hate the rich man. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So here's the thing. The guy who released the video tweeted it, put it on the Twitter, Musk's Twitter, baby. Put it on, and he said, what did he say? Oh, I don't think he actually said anything. But they took that fucking account down. Which is so fucking funny. Like, this whole thing, Elon Musk has been bragging, "Oh, I'm gonna champion free speech. That you can say whatever the fuck you want on Twitter. I don't care, man." Like, except for Alex Jones for some reason. Well, I mean, obvious reasons, but I'm championing free speech. Trump's back. You guys can say what you want for the most part. And it seems to be a pattern of people just talking shit about him getting banned or shadow banned. The dude who tracks his flights, that account's got shadow banned. Like, it didn't get banned, but it's shadow banned. And, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's a little weird, honestly, but still pretty funny. Yeah, so pretty awkward moment. I'm pretty sure you can still see the video. But yeah, it's just interesting how this whole thing has turned from I'm gonna buy Twitter to make it better and make it free speech, and like we're gonna do whatever, make comedy legal again, and then people talking shit on Musk just keep getting banned. And also, like, not to sound like a broken fucking record, but you're not protecting free speech by buying a company that people use to talk, because that's not what free speech is. Like, free speech, as defined by the Constitution, protects you from the government prohibiting your speech. fucking, if you say something on a random website and they decide you're not gonna say shit on their website anymore, that's kind of their fucking thing. Like, I don't understand why that's so complicated. Like a bunch of different the like conservative people who are like, yeah, we've been banned and we're not allowed, like, this is our free speech getting, whatever, taken away. All those fucking people could have created a fucking website, created a blog, and started typing, and guess what? Nobody would have gave a shit. Like, nobody can stop you from doing that. Like, if you're funding your own website and you can say whatever the fuck you want. But no, that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about a private company or a public company, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's a company deciding, hey, we don't like the way you're behaving. And it goes back to the gay cake people, where they they tried to get a cake made, but they like I guess it ended up being they bounced around finding somebody who would say no before they were like, oh, we're being, can't think of the word, discriminated against. There we go. Yeah. Anyway, couple stories in from some Patreon people. This one coming in from Jeremy Brazzers. All South Koreans to become younger as traditional age system is being scrapped. South Koreans are they do things a little differently with their age. When you're born, you're immediately 1 year old. And then the 1st of January, you're 2, or you're a year older. And so if you're like born New Year's Eve, you're 2 within, 36 hours. Like, you're so old. And like it's definitely archaic, but and then there's more. So there's a separate system for calculating the age of men entering national service, like the army, basically, like they do a mandatory service, which, like, pretty sure the BTS guys are in now. One of them at least. Anyway, yeah, men entering national service and the legal age to drink alcohol and smoke. In those cases, a person's age is calculated from 0 at birth, and the year is added on New Year's Day. So it's still not perfect. Yeah, it's definitely it definitely makes them look old school, right? That's like a very, very old timey kind of way to look at things, but they're getting away with it, or getting rid of it, not getting away with it. So congrats, if you're South Korean, you're gonna be a couple years younger now, or a year and some change at least. So that's kind of neat. It comes as some of their lawmakers are trying to make them fit in with the modern world a little bit more. They're like, yeah, this system doesn't make us look great, but it is what it is. So welcome to our newly younger South Korean audience. Congrats. This next story comes in from our master media, as a Metropolitan Police officer had lost her job on the force after claiming she did not know her husband was a major drug dealer, which is hilarious. Despite earning a constable's salary, this police officer had enjoyed a lavish lifestyle involving a 5,000 pound a month rental property, a 70,000 pound Audi, and a lot of designer clothes. I mean, if I saw any cop walking around in designer clothes or driving like crazy expensive cars, I definitely would have questions. Like, that's like that's the giveaway in a lot of shows. They're like, oh yeah, fucking, I think James is working, double ticket, dude. I think he's taking bribes or something. What do you know? And he walks in and he's got like gold rope chains. So, yeah. So she had claimed to believe her husband could afford their expensive taste by working as a private chef in a footballer's home, where she said he earned between 1,000 and 4,000 pounds a week and was paid in cash. Now, that's a believable story, I suppose, especially in England, in London. There's some pretty fancy football boys up there, but I feel like especially in this kind of like day and age, I don't think they would pay under the table like that. I think they would I think it would be all very well documented because if you think about it, that kind of like helps their tax situation, doesn't it? Like if you have people on your salary, I feel like that would, I don't know. Or maybe like a third party would just pay the cook. I don't know. So, turns out this guy's a big old drug dealer. And he, dealt cocaine and cannabis. So, pretty cool. Yeah. He was discovered after the National Crime Agency infiltrated the illicit communication system that he was using and uncovered messages from his handle, Nice Moon, which that I feel like you should have a better name than that. I don't know, like something badass. Don't give yourself away, but like, I don't know. Anyway, she's sticking to her story, but she was laid off or kicked off from the force for misconduct. So he got sentenced, or he got convicted in just a couple days ago, and he's going to be sentenced in February. So pretty cool. The FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried, I don't know. Fried. I'm going with Fried just because it sounds funnier. Has been arrested and charged with defrauding investors. He is the CEO of cryptocurrency exchange FTX and has been charged with fraud, conspiracy, commit money laundering, and conspiracy to defraud the United States and violate campaign finance laws. Which, that's how they always fucking get these guys. Campaign finance laws, man. So the 8 criminal charges filed by the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York on Tuesday follow civil charges brought by the United States Security Exchange Commission, the SEC, not to be confused with the Southeastern Conference, accusing the 30-year-old former billionaire of defrauding investors by building a company that was a quote-unquote house of cards. Great show. Yeah. Man, I don't know. This is why you gotta pay attention to these crypto guys. They're fucking doing some crazy stuff. I was gonna see if I had any more information on that, but I didn't organize my things properly. So anyway. Oh yeah. So that'll be interesting to follow. Now, this story I should have linked back when we were talking about the gay couple with the wedding cake. So you see posts like people denying more liberal agendaed people for services. This is the first time I've ever seen it go backwards. Restaurant denies Christian group service over its anti-abortion and LGBTQ stances. A faith-based group in Richmond, Virginia was denied service at a restaurant, and they're speaking out against what they call bigoted decision by the eatery to cancel its reservation. The venue recently refused to host a private event for the Family Foundation, a conservative Christian organization, over its position on same-sex marriage and abortion rights. Family Foundation President Victoria Cobb told CBS Monday that the restaurant's decision to not serve the group based on its religious and political views was alarming and disgraceful. It's not a good business model to have to have the feeling like people are making the assessment of whether you're worthy to eat at their restaurant. It's uncomfortable for people to think that's how we're going to function in society. This place, I guess, they deem themselves an inclusive establishment, has rarely refused service to willing patrons, but they said on a social media post that it denied service to the group to protect its staff, many of whom are women or members of the LGBTQ community. Which if you're going to allow the cake people to not bake the gay cake, then you got to allow the food place to deny people who don't support the staff that works there. Like, it doesn't work one way. You either get one and you get the other, or you don't get either one, right? So I support it as just a private business trying to do what's best for their staff, which you never see. They're like, fuck it. Usually they're like, fuck it, we'll serve them. Just don't look them in the eye or something. I don't know. So I support it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I feel like that's a very divisive kind of thing, but it is what it is at the end of the day. Like I said, you can either get the one, allow service to both. You have to serve these people, or you don't. Like, you don't get it one way and then the other, depending on what your views are. So, anyway. The moment you've all been probably waiting for, right? The Billboard 200. Since Shane's gone. Here it is. The week of December 17th. Heroes and Villains by Metro Boomin, which the cover kind of has a Pink Floyd Wish You Were Here album cover looking thing. Like, guy on fire shaking another guy's hand. So, that's pretty cool. Dropping down to 2, Midnight's Taylor Swift. 3, Her Loss, Drake and 21 Savage. 4, Un Vierno Senti, Bad Bunny. Number 5, Christmas, Michael Bublé. Up to 6. From 9, dang, big old jump. Harry's House, Harry Styles. Down from 6 to 7, Dangerous Double Album, Morgan Wallen. Still hanging in the top 10, though. The Highlights by The Weeknd. Number 8. Number 9, The Christmas Song, Nat King Cole. And then, here it comes. Number 10, Merry Christmas, Mariah Carey. God. I knew it was coming. It was only a matter of time. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 Christmas-related albums in the top 20. Or, like, from 11 to 20. So, I guess be on the lookout. They're coming. They're coming for you. But, yeah. So, that's the Billboard 200. That's what we got. Yeah. Anyway. Thank you for listening. Thank you to our Patreon people for supporting us. Thank our friends, Dutch and Denver Podcast, No New Friends, Remedy Room, Kicking It With the Kellys. Check all of them out. Definitely click the link tree in the description. Go check out all the things. Do all the YouTube-y stuff. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. Go to the Facebook. Check out all the memes Master Media is putting out. She stays on top of it, even when we have depressing topics like all day last time. She still made memes out of it. So she's talented. Don't tell her I said that, but she's talented. But yeah, so I think that's it. And I've had enough. Peace out, bitches, and tip your bartender.